Welcome to the Michiana Business Podcast, where we put local legends and businesses in the spotlight for everyone in our area to see. If you love small businesses and success stories, then you're in the right place. You're listening to the Michiana Business Podcast with your friends, hosts, and owners of Industrial Office Cleaning right here in Michiana, Caitlin and Alonzo Perdomo. So, we're here today with Jason Lippert. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Super excited to talk to you. Yeah. All right. Lippert Components is your company, right?
That's right.
All right. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, we're publicly traded, so we're on the New York Stock Exchange. Today we're, about a $3 billion business with 90 locations and 11,000 team members across the globe, mostly here in the North America, and then a lot of that North American population of our team members is right here in northern Indiana. So. But yeah, we started with my grandfather in '56, and he grew a small little components business with a buddy of his, and eventually turned it over to my dad. And my dad grew it from about $5 million to $100 million.
Wow!
And he sold it to a public company in '97, just shortly after I had come to the business. So I've been with the business for almost 26 years now, and have a fantastic team of people around me, and couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. So what was it? Why are you the one are you the only grandson, or how did that?
No, I'm the oldest grandson.
Oh, okay.
But I was the first one to get through college in our family, and as I came close to graduation, I started interning in the business. I started in the weld shops and welding the second shift, and I just like working with my hands and being around people, and was really curious as to just the business side of manufacturing, and it was just all really interesting to me, so I kind of stuck with it.
Awesome. All right. So how did it start back in the day? How did that kind of happen?
So we lived in central Michigan, my whole family grew up in central Michigan. My grandfather went into the Navy and fought in World War II. Came back from the war and went to work for Redmond Homes, which is a housing manufacturer. And he worked on the roofing line as a supervisor. And I think one day he just decided he wanted to make the roofs, not put them together.
Yeah.
So he started a business there with actually one of the Redmond brothers, who loaned him some money, and eventually he bought him out and just started a component supply business for manufactured housing manufacturers, and that morphed in from roofs to chassis parts, and from chassis parts to chassis. And by the time I came to the business, I started messing around with the RV manufacturing opportunity, and so it's kind of morphed our manufactured housing chassis from housing to RVs, and then we got into all sorts of other components organically, and we made a lot of acquisitions once we were purchased by a public organization. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
If your grandfather's around still?
He is.
Okay, well, tell him thank you for his service to the country.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes, I will.
Man, that's a really cool story. So you took over in about 2003? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So how was that?
It was great. I kind of had prepared myself for that through the first 5 or 6 years of my business. My dad, had planned on selling the company and moving on, and his wish was for me to take over if I was capable, and it was really nice that he gave us the opportunity to be able to create something like we have, and have so much impact on families and the community like we have, and in the industry for that matter. But little did we know that the ownership by a public company would give us so many more options to grow. They had a knack for growth, and as a small family company, we probably wouldn't have chose to grow as fast as we did, but they were really interested in pumping cash into the business and putting some cash toward some acquisitions, so we ended up growing a lot faster.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How was that as far as, was that stressful a little bit growing so quickly, or?
It was stressful, but it was fun. I've largely the same group of people around me today that I had 20 years ago.
Awesome.
And so that's made it really easy. Everybody's kind of grown up in the business, and there was just a lot of opportunity in the prime industries where, the marine, the RV, the housing. There's just a lot of opportunity to make a good industry better.
Yeah.
So we took advantage of that opportunity, and whether it was through creating and developing and innovating new products and manufacturing processes on our own, or whether it was buying companies that were really good fits or could add good product lines to our already good product lineup. It was all really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Glad it was you and not me, because it sounds so stressful.
Oh, you'd be fine.
No, that's awesome.
I just to say, I mean, for anybody, it's a step-by-step growth process. So, I couldn't do the things I'm doing today that I could 20 years ago, but one step at a time. You learn and you grow, and as long as you lean in and accept that change and growth is makes you better, and
Right.
learning makes you better, then after 20 years you look down and you've taken 1,000 steps, and you're a lot farther down the road and capable of a lot more. But had we just kind of stayed in our chassis zone and stayed in steel fabrication, our company would look a lot different today.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for you. All right, so then growth obviously has been huge since 2003 when you took over. You said what was it when you were, as far as annual sales?
In '97, it was, when we sold, it was about $100 million. We might have been 150 or maybe 250 by 2003.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now you're about $3 billion, you said.
Yeah, two and a half.
That's
billion,
awesome.
yeah.
Man, good for you. Good.
Yeah.
How about since COVID hit, how has that changed?
Well, man, it's been a crazy year for everybody. I'm just really proud of our team for the way they've. You talk about adversity. We've been through a lot in our 26 years. Last 26 years I've been with the business. Our team's been through a lot, and to go through what we've had to go through this year has been incredible learning experience, but also an incredible opportunity for all of our people to grow. You don't grow in the easy times, you grow when there's adversity, and we certainly had that in spades this year. So I would just say that our team's grown a lot. We've learned to manage through a pretty significant crisis. I'd say that it was every bit as challenging as 2008, 2009. And now it feels like we're most of the way out of it. At least all the we've gotten through all the real hard stuff, the not knowing what's going to happen with the industry, what's going to happen with people's health, kind of how the whole virus thing's going to play out. So it feels like a lot of that's behind us. It's still challenging and tough, but still lots of opportunity.
As far as like sales, because production, like RVs were huge, right?
Yeah.
Through that whole thing, so you guys it probably was really good for you, I would assume.
Yeah, people have decided that they want to be able to control their environment a little bit more for obvious reasons, for safety. Especially families that have kids, they just a little bit extra nervous. There's a lot of people with health conditions, and they're super interested to make sure that they're controlling their environments a little bit better. So RVs, and boats for that matter, they really give you a vehicle to be able to, can kind of control your own destiny if you're going to go away. A lot of people won't travel by airplane right now. That's how most people took their vacations, or a lot of people took their vacations. Or they took their vacations by car and stayed in a hotel, which a lot of people still aren't willing to do.
Yeah.
So the fact that RVs and boats allow you to just kind of distance the way you want from other people, and you can use your own, in an RV, you can use your own bathroom, you can have your own bedroom, you have your own kitchen.
Right.
You have all these opportunities to just control every bit of your environment from, the time you get up to the time you go to bed. It's a really great option. I think that's one of the reasons, obviously, RVs and boats have boomed so much since the beginning of all this.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're definitely RVs, boats, and the cleaning industry is the right
Yes,
industries to be in.
cleaning
right?
for sure. Yeah, congratulations on that.
Yeah,
being in the right
thanks.
spot.
You too. All right, so right now, how many locations do you have?
So we have 90 total locations worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Most of them in the U.S.?
Most of them are in the U.S. We probably have just around 10 in Europe. And we've got a division in Canada and one in Mexico. So
Awesome. Good. So do you deliver, obviously then you deliver all over the world?
We do. We kind of service the rail, the train, RV, and marine business in Europe. Those are our three major markets there. And then over here, we supply the RV industry, obviously, the manufactured housing industries, commercial vehicles, any kind of industry that builds products you can tow behind a car.
Yeah.
Boats and things like that.
Cool.
Any kind of components for any one of those vehicles.
Nice. All right. So how many people work? I think you mentioned it a couple minutes ago. How many people are you guys?
Just over 11,000 today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So yeah, it's 11,000 different families we're responsible for. It's pretty
Exactly.
awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. We have 20, and it's like
Oh.
it's I'm like someday.
Pretty cool though.
It is.
Right?
It is really cool. My husband and I talk about that a lot. Like, it's not like we're not just blessing people with a job, and
That's
we're
right.
being blessed with that, but at the same time, you're affecting all these families too, which is pretty cool to think.
Yeah, and I think what most businesses miss is that, they don't see that opportunity to really have great impact on the families. It's almost enough for a lot of businesses just to provide the income or the means to have a better living, but then what do you do beyond that? And I think that's where the real fun comes in,
Yep.
in terms of impact and helping families make it from one step to the next and help them to grow is help, come alongside them in that process.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we started with 20 at one point in time
Did
too,
you?
so
There's hope.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So employee, like the culture that you guys have here, you have a pretty strong culture. As far as employees go, that's something we're actually trying to work on too. So
So we can help you then.
That's exactly what I was just going to ask. Yeah. What would be some advice as far as growing a really strong employee culture?
So, it all starts with the values. It starts with, having values and not just putting them on the wall,
Mhm.
like a lot of companies do. It's keeping all your team members aligned to those values. And, certainly the leadership at any organization has to live the values out. They can't fall backwards a lot. I mean, they have to serve their teams and always be on. But, past that, when team members fall out of line with the values, there has to be a way to hold them accountable. And that's where, again, another likely spot where companies are going to have a miss there. It's easy to not hold team members accountable. It's easy to say, we'll let it by this time,
Yeah.
or pretend like it didn't happen, or the person's so good because they're there all the time, or they're just a fast worker, but we look past some of the value things to just because we don't want to lose a person, and it's really hard to replace people these days.
Yeah.
So, but you got to have to align people to the values, and then ultimately, you have to teach leadership. You have to invest in each team member's own growth path. I tell our people all the time, if we can create great leaders and teach all of our team members the great values and how to be better leaders, whether they're leading people at work or not, they can lead in the home, they can act
Yeah.
like leaders at work, and we'd probably rather have a place of work where people are following those values, whether they're leading people or not.
Yeah.
So I think those are the important things you have to do as have a great culture, but you have to be on it all the time. We've got a philanthropy piece of our culture where we commit to serving the community, and it's not just a loose, hey, some people do this. We try to get everybody on our teams to participate in at least one serving event every year, and we make it really easy for our teams to show up at a serving event. And most of them have never had the opportunity. An organization hasn't put a serving event together for them. So when you look at culture, you've got to look at all these different facets, whether it's leadership or philanthropy and serving your teams and the community. You put all that together, and most of the time what I find is that people, after experiencing that, and they experience a leader that kind of pours into them and helps them along their own leadership path, which ends up helping them with their family and life in general, they typically stand back from that and say, no company has ever done that for me before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay here. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do is we want to get a family of people that are all on the same journey together, and going down the same path, and you don't have 11,000 people all going different directions. So if people decide that they're going to leave on a regular basis because you just don't give them a reason to stay over the long haul, then you can never get consistent with quality, safety, efficiency, and innovation in the business, which are really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great.
And we do have a leadership academy as well. So, what we've tried to do with businesses like yours that ask the question you just asked is we're on a culture journey, or we want to be on a culture journey. We've allocated resources in the company to help other businesses in the community just understand the steps we've been on the last 10 years.
That's cool.
Because it started 10 years ago for us. This hasn't been something we figured out a couple of years ago and then just, it's all great. There's still a lot of work we've got to do. Culture and leadership are journeys that never end for anybody. I mean, you can be 80 years old and still work on your leadership potential and how to be a better leader and teammate. You can always take that next step.
Yeah.
At least I've found that. There's, nobody's reached the pinnacle or perfection of leadership. So, but that's what our academy is there for, is to really help other businesses along this journey. Because we believe that aside from safety, quality, innovation, and efficiency improving when people stay over the long haul, we also find that people go home happier.
Yeah.
Because they're treated well, they're respected, they're rewarded for the good things that they do in the business, and they're led really well. So they tend to go home and be happier and tend to lead their families better. We've got leadership and core values cards that all of our team members carry around. So we're like, hey, take this stuff home for your kids, because this is great stuff for your kids to learn at any age. But unfortunately, most businesses today don't take it to that level. It kind of stops in the business. So we think that aside from all the business reasons, you get people going home happier and they treat their families better, and we produce more effective, loving families, which is good for our society. And when people don't get beat on at work by bad leaders, they get taken care of at work by good leaders and taught the way how to lead really well, they're healthier. They don't get stressed out and anxious, and stress and anxiety cause 70% of the nation's illnesses today.
Yeah, that's true.
So we cannot stress people out at work, and we can always correct people or show people a different way, in a courteous manner or respectfully. There's a right way to do it, but a lot of businesses, you got the yellers and screamers, and that just stresses out people and makes them anxious, and that doesn't leave them better for the home, which is where we need them really healthy.
Right, exactly. So I'm not going to yell and scream at my people anymore, so that's good enough. No.
Hey, we all have at one point in time, and if you haven't, you're a liar.
I don't know that I've done it, but I've wanted to for sure. Mm-hmm. Awesome, man, that's so good. I know that just like with the core value thing, we have core values. But,
awesome.
Just teaching your kid, our kids at home, like we hear our kids sometimes, like one of them is help out, and our kids are little still, and so just to hear them, like to know that we're implementing strong core values in them, and I know that some of our employees also have come to us and like, hey, talk about the core values and implementing them at home. Mm-hmm. It's super rewarding, and it makes you really excited to want to just try. We're trying to figure ways out, like you have, to better instill that into our people, and so we'll probably have to come to you with some.
Yeah, well, it takes time and resources to coach. I tell our people all the time, we can't expect them to teach leadership and coach people when they've got a job to do all day long. The coaching is a job in and of itself. Yeah. So we have people at LCI that are dedicated to leadership coaching. So, so that the general manager, the plant manager, the assistant PMs, or some of our frontline team members, they don't have to do all the coaching of people because it's a big job.
Yeah, definitely. The Leadership Academy, how would we find information, or any business that's interested in that? Like, is that you said it's for other small businesses to kind of help them?
Yes. Yeah, to help you get on your journey, and then just kind of keep you in between the guardrails so that you're heading down the right path. We have a website. It's led by Amber Selking, who's our VP of Culture and Leadership here at the company. So I would tell you that you start with a website and contact her, and she works you into the schedule, and basically comes and sits down. We just we want to know where you're at. Mm-hmm. everybody's in a different
place
in the journey.
Yep.
Exactly.
For
So
sure.
we've tried to figure out what place you're in and then say, hey, we were in that place. Here were the next steps we took. If they're helpful, great. If not, you don't have to do anything with it. But generally, we zigged and zagged, and we found, when we took a wrong turn, we eventually figured out the right way or what was effective, and then get on the right track again. So, what we're trying to do is provide all that to other businesses, because if it leads to happier and healthy families in the community, it's probably a good thing.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talked about, so then the 100,000, you guys have 100,000 hours. You said you're trying to get each employee to serve at least a little bit. What's that? What's the 100,000 hours about?
So, I think this is our fourth year. It started because we did strategic goal planning and goal setting every year, and we come up with 5 short-term objectives. And at one point in time, somebody said, "Why don't we have a philanthropic goal as our top 5? Why is it always got to be financial?" And we said, "You know what? That's a great point." So from that point on, we've always just made it one of our additional goals that we're going to hit every year. And we just said, "Hey, look, most people in our company we know haven't served." And it's not that they don't want to serve, it's just that they haven't been provided an easy outlet to serve. So we did what we did with leadership. We hired a philanthropic director. That's Michiana Grimes. She runs philanthropy. So, we initially set up her and her staff to be points of contact to help set up and make contact with all the charities in the community. So if you want to do something with children, or you want to do something with the elderly, or Parks and Recreation, or whatever the charity or cause is, they have the points of contact. So we just ask our divisions to each set up, 4 ring events during the year. And at each one of those events, you try to get as many people from inside that facility as possible. And that's made it easy for us to hit a lot of our team members inside our 90 facilities. Is just hit at one facility at a time and let there be a champion there. They make contact with with Michiana and our philanthropy department to help set things up and get things ready. So all they have to do is show up and
That's awesome.
with our teams. So yeah, that's kind of how we get our hours, as opposed to saying, "Hey, look, go out to the community when you have time and report back to us what you do." We wouldn't get a whole lot further than where we were before.
Right.
We had people in the company that were serving for sure, but to get everybody involved, you kind of need somebody at the facility saying, "Hey, look, I see, you haven't served yet. Why don't you come with us this weekend?" "Oh, I can't." "Well, we'll get you the next time."
That's awesome. Good.
Yeah. Hours add up fast that way.
Yeah, for sure. You'll be like 200,000 here pretty soon,
Yeah,
probably.
hopefully.
That's great.
And again, our goal there is to just be an example in the community where, business is a force for good, whether it's leadership or culture or philanthropy. We can take something like the 100,000 hours and say, "Look, you guys can do something really similar. We can show you the roadmap how to do it, whether you're big or you're small." And then, Michiana and her team is a really good point of reference for other companies that are trying to figure out how to do something like that.
That's great. All right. Do you have any advice on any small companies such as ours, or anybody out there on just how to be successful in any field that they're in?
Mm-hmm.
What's your main advice for them?
My main advice is stay innovative first and foremost. I mean, you have to do things that other companies in your field aren't.
Yep,
Otherwise,
exactly.
nobody sees a reason or a compelling reason to move to your business. So stay innovative and add different value than what your competitors add. If you're getting into a business or a startup or whatever, just know your competitors.
Yeah.
I would say that focus on culture and leadership is super, super important. Again, we feel that's a competitive advantage for us.
Yeah, for sure.
We feel that we attract people, and we know we attract people to this company that are getting a much better and different experience than elsewhere in the community, because other companies just haven't figured out some of the culture and leadership things that we're working on.
Yeah.
And I know that because we're putting resources toward it, and they are not.
Yep.
So if we can give our team members a better experience, I think they're going to be more energetic and passionate toward the business, and ultimately innovative, and all, efficient and all the other things that matter. So I think culture, leadership, and philanthropy are important. I think innovation is important. I think never giving up and just having that fighting spirit. Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, where you're at in the business journey, whether you're just getting started or you're, 5 years in. You're going to experience adversity. You're going to experience challenges, and you have to fight through it always. It's not going to be easy. And then, hire people. There's a lot of smart people that have said hire people that are smarter than you. Hire people that have some really great qualities that you don't have. I mean, every human being was given different gifts and by God, and you have to find people with those different gifts and plug them in.
Awesome.
If everybody has the same gifts or similar gifts, then it's hard to get more diverse and innovative and creative. And those are the things to me that separate
Definitely.
a good business from just there's a lot of average businesses out there.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. Awesome. Great advice. All right, best part of being a business owner?
I'd say that today, and I don't own the business, just to be clear.
Well,
but,
this is true.
But as a business leader, and again, I don't care if you're the first line supervisor and you've got 4 or 5 people, or you've got 11,000 people. I think that leadership has this amazing opportunity for you to be able to impact and transform the lives of other people. Once you have that trust and once you have that influence as a leader, you can use that for good. And I think that, whether it's pointing them in the right direction with their family, helping them with some personal issues, helping them be a better leader inside the business, there's all sorts of great impact you can have on people's lives. And you don't get that opportunity if you're not leading.
Right.
Now, I would argue too that if you're just a frontline team member that's making parts for a business, or maybe one of the people you have on your staff, you can still influence people positively. But once you get higher up in leadership, you can really have the ability to impact a lot of people. And I think that's been one of the great things, starting where I was, just a frontline team member myself, having influence with a few people around me, and then being able to have influence on other businesses and the community and the team members and other leadership we have here has been a lot of fun.
Awesome. I like what you said just now about whether you're like a team leader or just like somebody on the front line. Yeah. Have you ever read that book, 360 Degree Leader?
I have not, but I've heard a lot about it.
Have you? Okay. Mm-hmm. I just got it, and we just started it, but we were talking about giving that to each of our employees because, if you can put that, kind of get them in that mindset where they, no matter where they are, in the line, if they have that, like a little bit of that leadership mindset, it would really make a big difference for sure.
And the more the leader pours into that person, the more they're going to transform and get out of it and likely be a leader themselves at some point.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. That's awesome. Good. All right. So then time for the rapid fire questions. Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant locally?
Sure. Yeah.
I like any kind of Japanese restaurant.
Really?
So typically I have to go to Chicago for that, which we don't get to very often
Yeah.
anymore. But I love Japanese food. It's light and it's healthy.
Nice. Is Haniori Japanese or no?
It is, but they tend to put a little bit more of the sauce in it. So
Okay,
I just
gotcha.
kind of like fresh fish and.
Oh, okay. So, all right, good. Favorite book?
So I have to say that it's a book called Everybody Matters by Bob Chapman, who was kind of the spark that started our culture journey. It was a book that he wrote about their culture journey, and they were a very similar company. The time he wrote it, it was a couple billion in sales and 10,000 team members, and the epiphany that he had to just figure out how to impact and transform lives, and not just have people come in and clock in and do their work and clock out.
Exactly. Awesome. Good. I'll have to check that out. Favorite pastime?
Oh gosh, so I like to ski a lot with my kids.
Oh, cool.
In the wintertime. We only go once or twice usually in the wintertime, but it's one of my favorite things to do because you spend the whole day with them. And any activity I can do with my kids, just because there's a lot of work, and anytime I get I'm not doing something on my own, I'm giving it back to my kids. So
Awesome. That's great.
I just love spending time with family, and that's kind of really my only hobby.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Any last words of advice? Any entrepreneurs out there or business owners?
No, I would say, just, culture and leadership is important. You can't be the most successful business possible without a real intense and intentional focus on culture and leadership and philanthropy inside the business. And you'll ultimately get so many great benefits from transforming and leading the lives of people in a positive way that you will if you don't focus on those things. So that'd be and if you do those things, it builds a great foundation to build a really great business on top of. So, I'd tell you that you can't build a great business without doing those things, and it's really, I think a lot of business men and women find it fun because you can get creative with culture, you can get creative with the way you impact and transform the lives of people just by leading them well and creating opportunities for them, and interacting with them as opposed to just, like I said, just coming in the business, getting the work done and leaving. It's
Exactly.
no fun for them. It's really not a whole lot of fun for the business leaders. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
But thanks
Great.
for having me. I really
No.
appreciate your time and what you're doing, getting the word out. And
Thank you. Same here. We appreciate you coming
Keep it
on.
up.
It was awesome. I'm going to just throw my little last line in here real quick.
Okay, sure,
Don't
go
get
ahead.
too close.
Yeah.
All right, if you're out there and you would like to come on our podcast, visit us at michianabusinesspodcast.com, and we would love to chat with you about your business. And as always, we'll see you next time. Thanks.
If you're in the Michiana area and would like to have us put your business or story out there for everyone to hear, sign up at michianabusinesspodcast.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.